Good day, my name is Bruce. Welcome to Apply Customer Service and Ethics. Today we're going to be looking at the three outcomes, which is going to be the following, based on the following unit standards. This is the agenda that we're going to be following. First, we're going to be looking at how to apply the basic skills of customer service. 2, how to behave in a professional manner, but in a business environment. And 3, how to apply basic business ethics in a work environment. You would have received a learner guide, a workbook, and a portfolio of evidence or summative assessment from your facilitator. As we go through the different modules, you'll be asked to complete the class activities in your workbook, and right at the very end, you'll be asked to complete the summative assessment. Let's kick off the very first module today, which we're going to be looking at, which is applying the basic skills of customer service. And here are the different module outcomes. Firstly, how to explain what is customer service, how to engage in an interaction with a customer, demonstrate the communication skills in responding to a customer, as well as the process, a query in order to respond to a customer's needs. All right, let's have a look now and see how do we apply the basics of customer service. Research has shown that it costs 5 times more to actually attract a new customer than to actually keep an existing one. Businesses pour thousands of rands into advertising and promotion drives, and then lose their customers because they did not apply the basics of customer service. Now, if we were to explain customer service in a nutshell, basically every organization needs money to operate and receives money in exchange for the service or products it sells to its customers. In fact, your company may even extend credit to its customers, and as such, it can then be regarded as supplying financial services. Good customer service is the heart of any business. Good customer service is also all about getting customers and bringing customers back. It also is about sending customers away happy enough to pass positive feedback. Also about your business along to others who may then try the product or service that you offer for themselves, and they in turn become loyal customers. Good customer service. Basically, customer service is a key to your business's success. It is everyone's responsibility. Personal appearance, as well as professionalism, provide foundation of customer service excellence. Poor customer service is obviously expensive, and good customer service is invaluable. Good customer service results in increased positivity as well as profits because management and employees are all working together to achieve the same goal, which is to ensure that their business is successful. The 10 commandments of superior customer service relationships is the following. Firstly, the customer is the most important person in your business. The customer is not dependent on you. You are dependent on the customer. You work for the customer. The customer is not an interruption of your work. The customer is actually the purpose of your work. The customer does you a favor by visiting your business. You are not doing the customer a favor by serving them. The customer is as much a part of the business as anything else. If the business was sold, the customer would actually go with it. The customer is not a cold statistic. And the customer is a person with feelings as well as emotions just like you. Treat the customer better than you would actually want to be treated. The customer is not someone to argue with or actually compete against. It is your job to satisfy the needs, the wants, and expectations of your customers and, whenever possible, resolve their fears and complaints. The customer deserves the most attentive, courteous, and professional treatment that you can provide. The customer is the lifeblood of your business. Always remember that without customers, you would not have a business. You work for the customer. So what do customers really want? Fast service, courteous service, consistent service, someone who is actually willing to listen, a knowledgeable person to deal with whatever type of query or inquiry or service that they are expecting. Expert advice, smooth transactions, but also a specific commitment. Basically, in short, you have to care for your customers. Again, a competitive edge. Good customer service gives your business a competitive edge. In other words, your business will have a clear advantage over the competition in terms of the treatment of customers, and that is valued by potential as well as established customers. Therefore, you will be assured of repeat business and your business will be sustainable. So what does good customer service look like? Make sure that you request a product or service that you believe in and actually would use yourself. A warm, sincere greeting on first contact. Establish whether your business has what the customer actually needs. Offer to help find it. Then provide it or suggest a better alternative to their benefit. Develop an easy, positive rapport with the customer, which lets them know that they are respected but also appreciated. Go the extra mile. Provide an easy, efficient way to actually complete the transaction. Sincerely and warmly thank the customer for his or her business. Invite them back to come back if ever they need your help again, in whatever way is appropriate in your specific case. Tips to ensure good customer service. Answer your phone. So many times we let the phone ring and people will think that you are actually not interested or not wanting the actual business. Do not make promises unless you will keep them. Listen to your customers. Deal with complaints. Be helpful, even if there's no immediate profit in it. Train your staff to be always helpful, courteous, and knowledgeable. Take that extra step. Go the extra mile for the customer and throw in something extra. So who are our different types of customers? Firstly, we've got external customers. That is a person who actually walks into a business or phones in for quotes or service and is easily recognizable as the customer. We can call him or her the external customer, and most people know that he or she will come first, as they are the king or number one. External customers are those people that actually buy the products and services from your company and from whom your company derives revenues. Internal customers. Every department and person in an organization is, to some degree, dependent on other people and departments for success or failure. Everyone in an organization should be aware of how his or her actions impact on others. If everyone on a team is committed to helping every other member of the team, everyone will succeed, achieving whatever their greatest potential might be. If everyone helps everyone else, nobody loses and everybody wins. And obviously that is good for any business. So what are the consequences of poor customer service? Poor customer service is principally caused by one or more of the following. Poor products or service. Obviously that relates to quality, presentation, the price, etc. Bad after-sales service. That obviously relates to the way products are delivered. If there's a replacement of a faulty item, etc. Or being placed on hold by an automated voice and told to wait. Having your phone call lost or transferred unnecessarily. Unhelpful and impolite staff are one of the main reasons why people will go to other businesses. That is one of the main reasons why you will lose your customers. A can't be bothered attitude of staff is also just as bad as having unhelpful and unpolite staff. Waiting in line of people to be served because of insufficient or shoddy staff. When you see at lunchtime, for example, there should be all your staff available, but you send half of your staff on lunch, that obviously leads to poor service, as most of your clients and customers would also be coming in during their lunch breaks for service. And if you're not there to provide it, they're going to definitely take their business elsewhere. Poorly trained staff who lack knowledge but also skill. How can you possibly assist a customer if you do not have the required knowledge and skills to assist? So what's the procedure for escalating of queries? What does a customer with a complaint actually want from you in the company? Firstly, the customer wants a speedy resolution. The customer wants whatever is broken to actually work again and whatever is missing to be replaced. What the customer does not want is to hear of excuses, or worse still, not to be told anything at all. So here's the escalation procedure. Firstly, the key points to remember when escalating a call is summarized as follows. Number one, identify as soon as possible the actual need to escalate a call. 2, pass on as much detail as possible to the person you're transferring to. Obtain an estimate of likely time to fix the problem. Stay in control of the query, but maintain the dialogue with the customer. Communication is vital when dealing with a complaint. Please complete class activity 1 in your workbook. Now, next one, engaging in an interaction with a customer. Most organizations have a policy or some sort of standard that should be used when a client is approached. This will mostly include some sort of greeting sentence and the general way that you actually treat the customer. An example is, if a teller is helping a client, "Good day, sir, welcome to F&B. How may I help you?" Or the client might say, "Hello, I'd like to make several deposits into different accounts, please." So how to open an interaction with a customer? The appropriate conduct for all employees is important as it actually affects the public image of the business, but it would include having a polite greeting, a pleasant tone of voice, being well-spoken, knowledge of the company, and also being attentive, not being distracted by, for example, looking at your cell phones, etc. Also, being discreet, being loyal, ensuring neatness of yourself. Always be professional looking when you are dealing with a client. Ensuring neatness of your environment. It doesn't help to look professional and talk professionally if your workspace is unneat and untidy. Also, adhering to business dress code. That is important. Customers would basically look at you first before they even talk to you and decide from the start, before they've even spoken, based on your dress code, if they are going to receive the right type of service or not. Lastly, being helpful and friendly. Here are some general guidelines on how to actually interact with your customers. Handling a talkative or an inquisitive visitor. Firstly, make a friendly excuse and answer briefly when a person asks questions beyond the scope of business. Be especially careful not to disclose any confidential information, and do not leave inquisitive visitors alone in an office where your confidential records are kept. Handling of rude or arrogant visitors. Always treat a discourteous visitor in a friendly but a polite manner. Try to understand the visitor's point of view and investigate the complaint or refer him or her to the appropriate person. Be firm, polite, and professional. Do not become involved in an argument or an unpleasant discussion. Even if the customer is 100% wrong, do not argue. Rather look for points of agreement and solutions. Do not lay blame. It does not matter whose fault it was. All that matters is the actual solution itself. So what to do if the relevant person is unavailable? Basically, state the reason for the unavailability. Ask if the visitor would prefer to wait or make another appointment. If the visitor decides to wait, tell him or her how long they will have to wait. Regularly inform them if that person is still busy. Offer maybe coffee, tea, magazines to read. Talk to them occasionally to show that you actually have not forgotten about them. Telephone skills. Most businesses cannot operate successfully without the telephone. It is often the first point of contact with a company, and for many customers or clients, it is the only contact. That is why it is extremely important to use the opportunity to convey a professional image of helpfulness, friendliness, and courtesy. The first 15 seconds of any telephone call are crucial. One key to success is knowing how to make your voice convey a professional tone. Firstly, use your natural voice pitch. Sit up straight. Notice the response of your callers. Listen actively. Let the person on the other end know that you're actually listening. Use responses such as yes, I understand, and certainly. Remember the caller's name and use it in conversation. Do not speak too fast. End on a friendly, positive note. For example, thank you for calling, or if you have any further questions, please feel free to call me. The caller then will hang up first. Do not put the phone down first. Wait for the caller to do it. What happens when the wrong call is received? Be polite and repeat the company's phone number. If you realize that the call is actually for another department or person, inform the caller immediately and tell the caller that you are putting them through to the correct department. Give him or her the name of that person in the department as well as that number of the department for future references. So when a caller is waiting for someone whose line is actually busy, immediately inform the caller that that line is in fact busy. Ask whether they would like to wait or if they should call back. Take the caller's name, telephone number, and extension number. If the caller chooses to wait, reassure them that they have not been forgotten at 20 to 30 second intervals and offer to take a message if that conversation will take too long. Do not disconnect a line too quickly. Listen carefully to what the caller is saying and repeat what the caller has said to confirm that you actually fully understand. Now, request information to clarify the customer's needs. After greeting your customer, you need to ask questions first to determine what are their customer's needs. In order to determine your customer needs, it is critical to ask the following questions. Firstly, the ability to competently ask questions and listen attentively to the answers is one of the most important components of professionalism. Here are the types of questions. Closed questions. They can be answered with one-word responses such as either yes or no, and usually they begin with the words like can, do, does, will, would, or is. Closed questions have the following characteristics. They give solid facts. They draw out the details that you need, and they actually are easy to answer. Open questions. They will help to obtain a broader answer and more information, and these words begin with the following: who, what, when, which, and how. Open questions have the following characteristics. They require a longer answer than just a yes or a no. They encourage the customer to actually think and reflect, and they tend to draw out opinions as well as feelings. Probing questions. Probing questions help you to obtain more specific information, a clarification, or when your customer is vague or hasn't given you enough information. For example, what exactly you mean by, or could you tell me more about, or what specifically? Reflecting. Ask questions to actually check your understanding of the customer's needs. For example, am I correct in saying that you are looking for the following? Checking in the customer throughout your conversation will help to actually restate and clarify the conversation. These are what we are called checkpoint summaries. In using checkpoint summaries, we repeat the information that we have gathered back to the customer. Treating the client with empathy. Empathy is the ability to be aware of, but also to understand, but also appreciate the feelings and thoughts of others. Many people are confused about what empathy actually means. They think it means being nice, but in fact, it simply means understanding that other person's position. Empathy does not mean agreement. You can indicate that you understand someone else's point of view while not actually supporting it. In doing so, you can ease tensions, but also build an emotional bridge. Remember that empathy is basically showing ideally a sincere interest and not just a professional role or communication skill. Pay careful attention and listen to the client's point of view. Try to set aside your biases and judgments for the moment and walk in as if it were in the shoes of your client. As the client will speak, listen for core messages. Listen to both verbal but also non-verbal messages and their contexts. Respond fairly, frequently, but also briefly to the client's core messages. But be gentle, but keep the client focused on the important issues. Determine whether your empathetic responses are actually helping the client remain focused while developing and clarifying important issues. Note signs of client stress or resistance. Try to judge whether these arise because you are actually inaccurate with your responses. Now, how do we use non-verbal communication clues to determine an approach to an interaction? So research has found that words are 7% effective in the way we communicate. The tone of voice you use is 38% effective, and the non-verbal cues is up to 55% effective. Therefore, our non-verbal communication is even more important than the actual words we use. When we meet someone for the first time, they will already form an opinion about us within the first few seconds before we even open our mouths to speak. The non-verbal cues are, for example, the body talk that we use, for example, the way we use our eye contact, how we dress, how is our posture, the gestures and movement, as well as our facial expressions. Also the way we shake hands, our eye contact, gestures, postures, touch, the distance, as well as our facial expressions. And here are some examples of facial expressions. So, before trying to read anyone's face, teach yourself to recognize micro expressions. These are the small facial expressions. A different one for whenever someone is feeling an increase in any different types of emotion. And here you can see quite a few, from normal to shocked to flirty, etc. How to take control of angry clients. Do not grind your teeth. Note down the details. Show the client that you actually are prepared to investigate the complaint. Summarize the complaint. And also ask the client what solutions they envisage for this actual problem. Now, to close an interaction with your customer. An interaction can be closed after you have interacted with your client, asking questions in order to pinpoint a problem. But do not forget, firstly, to listen to the client's answer. Pay attention to the client's body language for any hidden messages. Also, use problem-solving techniques to get to the bottom of that problem. Clarify appropriate information. Check the client's interpretation. Describe and explain a range of relevant options. Reach a consensus on the most viable option. Outline the proper procedure to be followed, but also end the conversation on a positive note, which will leave the caller with a good impression of the organization. Now, how do we demonstrate communication skills in responding to a customer? Firstly, active listening. Active listening engages the other person in an active dialogue and helps us to slow down too. Consider the following approaches becoming an active listener. Listen firstly for the meaning, but also reflect without judgment. Identify and use key words in a customer dialogue. Sometimes your customers can't formulate exactly what they need. Sometimes they do not remember the exact name of the product, or they might rely on your knowledge. So when listening to your customer's request or query, ask pertinent questions and then try to identify keywords that reveal what he or she needs from you and use them in your response. There are times when you cannot resolve a query or complaint immediately, or you may have to order a product, in which case you will need to record the need, the request, the query or complaint for further action in the required format according to what is your organizational requirements. Check your written notes with the customer to actually ensure that you have recorded their need, the request, query or complaint accurately and reach agreement on the action to be taken. They do not want to have to repeat themselves in the future if you did not check in. Now, how do you process a query in order to respond to a client's needs? A query is an inquiry into something which is a request for information. Therefore, customers' queries are customers making inquiries about something they actually want to know. This should generally not have any negative connotations, but many staff members who deal with customers seem to find even the thought of customer queries as threatening, or they're often seen as a nuisance. Once you've gathered enough information about your customer, about their need, you can then formulate what is your appropriate response going to be. Ensure that the information you provide is accurate, focus on the client's need, and also very clear. Remember to explain in layman's terms without being patronizing or talking down to the customer. And remember, layman's terms is talking in a language that is understandable to the client, not using too much technical jargon which will confuse them even further. Complaints. If you haven't provided the product or service your customer expected, you're putting a relationship with the customer at stake. When formulating a response, bear in mind that a dissatisfied customer wants you to actually listen to the problem, for you to understand the problem and the reason that they are actually upset. Also have some type of compensation or restitution for the inconvenience that is being incurred. Also, their problem must be handled quickly. No further inconvenience, to be treated also with respect, but also to have someone not punished or punished for their problem. Also assurance that the problem will also not happen again. Here is a process of how to deal with a customer who has a communicate response to the client. Firstly, when dealing with a complaint, we must listen attentively, apologize, also take notes, restate the problem or situation to ensure that you are clear, then ask for suggestions, as well as then, once you've asked for suggestions, propose alternatives. After you've made these proposals, get agreement. Remember to remove an upset customer also from a public view in order to deal with them away from the public view. Now, escalating calls outside the own level of your own authority. Firstly, you need to explain why you're not able to deal with it, because they will be expecting you to deal with it. Explain why you're not able to deal with the problem at your level. Ask for permission to go to a supervisor. Give the name and number of your supervisor. Then, of course, tell your supervisor who is actually calling and the reason why you're unable to assist, and then transfer the call appropriately. Now, also reach an agreement on a follow-up actions with customers. So after a customer's complaint, you need to agree on when you're going to provide them with feedback. Get the customer agreement to the action plan, but also the proposed timescale for resolution by telling them what you're going to be doing, why you're doing it, and when you expect to give them feedback. Giving feedback on the progress of a query to the customer, even if the matter is no longer in your hands, take it upon yourself to actually find out how far the resolution is and to also inform the customer. Because remember, the customer started off with you and they're expecting some sort of feedback. So this is why it's important for you to take ownership, even if you are not the one who's going to be doing the resolution of that problem. The last thing you want is that no one takes ownership of the problem and the customer has to inquire after a few weeks or even months. This is a sure recipe for customer satisfaction. So also remember to follow up, stay in touch, check to see that the things are going according to plan, and check again later to see if everything has in fact been settled satisfactorily to the client's needs and wishes. Please complete class activity 2 in your workbooks. Thank you.